There's a moment when standing up from a chair feels heavier than it should, when the stairs you've climbed for years suddenly feel steeper. When a simple walk to the mailbox becomes something you hesitate to do. Have you felt it? That slow, fading strength in your legs, the kind that creeps in quietly, not with pain, but with absence. If that sounds familiar, this isn't just aging, it's a message from your body, a silent signal that your foundation, your legs, are asking for help. And here's the truth nobody told us. Your legs don't give out in a single fall, they disappear in whispers, in the little struggles. The quiet fatigue, the moments you hide from your family. The first thing Robert learned surprised him. It wasn't a rare supplement or a complex therapy. It was something he'd known about all his life. Protein, yes, protein. The same nutrient people associate with bodybuilders and gym bags, but for Robert, and for millions of older adults, protein is not about muscles for show, it's about muscles for life. You see, as we age, our bodies change in ways we rarely talk about. We lose the ability to use protein efficiently. A phenomenon called anabolic resistance. It means that even if you eat the same amount you did at 40, your body doesn't respond the same way at 70. It needs more, and it needs it more often, without enough high-quality protein. Your muscles don't rebuild, they wither quietly, subtly, until one day, climbing stairs feels like lifting bricks, until standing from the toilet becomes a calculated move. That's not just aging. That's muscle loss, and it's not inevitable. Robert didn't know any of this until one afternoon, his daughter brought him a book. Inside, a highlighted sentence caught his eyes. Older adults need 1.2 to 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight daily. He did the math and realized he was getting less than half that, especially at breakfast, where he usually skipped or ate toast. So, he made a change: a Greek yogurt with berries in the morning. 2 eggs and a slice of turkey for lunch, salmon or chicken. At dinner, sometimes a shake if he didn't feel like eating, and every bite was a step, a quiet step towards strength. Because protein isn't magic, but it is the raw material your body begs for, especially when it's trying to hold you upright, especially when your legs are trying to say, "Give us what we need, and we'll carry you again." And there's something else, one amino acid in particular, leucine. It's like a light switch found in dairy, eggs, and lean meats. It tells your body, it's time to build. Without it, even protein can fall flat, so Robert started reading labels, choosing foods rich in leucine. Not obsessively, just intentionally, and within weeks, he noticed a shift. Getting out of his chair felt easier. His legs didn't shake at the top of the stairs. He didn't feel like he needed to plan every movement, and it wasn't because of a miracle, it was because he fed his body what it was silently missing. So, if you felt your strength slipping, if your legs feel like they belong to someone older than you, maybe, it's not about pushing harder, maybe, it's about nourishing smarter. Because the fuel matters and your body still listens. If you've ever rediscovered your strength in a way you didn't expect, drop a comment below. I'd love to hear how your story began. Some mornings, Robert would wake up, and his legs felt heavy, not sore, not injured, just tired, like they were dragging through water. He thought it was just age, but something deeper was at play: inflammation. The quiet kind, the kind that doesn't scream with pain but whispers with stiffness and slowness. It lingers in the knees, the calves, the ankles. And it chips away at comfort, at confidence, at joy. Robert remembered how he used to bounce out of bed. But now, he eased himself up, careful, tentative. Then his doctor mentioned omega-3s, not as a pill to numb the pain, but as a partner in healing, a nutrient that works with the body, not against it. Omega-3 fatty acids, found in salmon, sardines, mackerel, rich in EPA and DHA, they calm the storm inside, not by silencing symptoms, but by reducing the cause, the inflammation that slows blood flow, that stiffens joints, that makes legs feel older than they are. Robert wasn't convinced at first. Fish oil, really, but he tried. One softgel each morning with breakfast, and then something shifted. His knees didn't groan when he stood, The swelling in his ankles faded. He noticed warmth in his toes he hadn't felt in months. That was circulation returning. Because omega-3s don't just fight inflammation, they help blood vessels relax. They let oxygen and nutrients reach where they're needed. They turn cold feet warm. They turn healing from slow to steady. And there was more. Robert had a history of numbness. That tingling, buzzing feeling in the soles of his feet. His doctor had warned him about neuropathy. But omega-3s, according to the latest research, support nerve health, too. By reducing oxidative stress, by encouraging nerve cell repair. And while it's not instant, it's real over time, those tingles became less frequent. The burning subsided, and Robert walked a little taller. Because when your legs feel alive again, you feel alive again, and isn't that the point? So if you've dismissed omega-3s as just fish oil, think again. Think of them as the oil that keeps your legs moving smoothly, like a door hinge that no longer creaks. Robert still takes his daily dose not as a cure, but as a promise to keep moving, to keep going, to keep walking, not just forward, but freely. Robert noticed something strange. His legs didn't just feel weak, they felt unstable. Like something inside them wasn't holding together anymore, not just muscles. But the way they moved, the way they bent, the way they held him upright. There was a time he could crouch in the garden, kneel to pick up a dropped spoon. But now, every bend came with a hesitation. And that hesitation came from within, not his thoughts, but his joints. That's when he discovered collagen, not as a beauty supplement, but as a structural need. Because beneath the skin, behind every step, is a hidden framework, collagen. It holds your knees steady, it cushions your tendons, it keeps the spring in your ankles. But here's what nobody tells you: after the age of 30, your body makes less of it every year. By 60, that deficit isn't just visible in wrinkles, it's felt in every joint that cracks, every tendon that strains. Every morning you wake up and your heels feel stiff before they touch the floor. Robert had all of that, until someone handed him a scoop of collagen peptides. At first, he laughed. A powder's gonna fix my knees. But he stirred it into his coffee every morning for 8 weeks, and something began to change. The ache in his right knee wasn't as sharp. He could bend down to tie his shoe without bracing on the wall. He didn't notice the change right away. But then one day, he climbed the porch steps without gripping the rail, and that's when he realized something was rebuilding. Because collagen peptides don't just vanish into the body, they become messengers. They say to the joints, time to repair. They say to the tendons, time to restore. And with the help of vitamin C, they work better. That's why Robert started eating an orange with breakfast, not just for taste but for teamwork. Because collagen needs cofactors. It doesn't act alone and it doesn't act instantly. But over time, it builds the net that catches you when you move, the inner scaffolding of motion. The silent support that makes walking feel effortless again. So, if your joints creak, if your knees hesitate, if your legs feel like they've forgot how to move smoothly, maybe they haven't forgot. They're just waiting for the raw material to rebuild what time has tried to erase. Have you tried collagen before? If so, what changed for you? Let me know below. You never know who your story might inspire. When Robert first heard about creatine, he rolled his eyes. That for teenagers at the gym. He asked, but what he didn't know was that creatine isn't about bulk, it's about energy. The kind of energy that powers your legs when you rise from a chair, the kind that helps you catch your balance on uneven ground. The kind that makes walking feel effortless again. You see, every muscle contraction begins with ATP. And creatine helps regenerate ATP fast. But as we age, our natural creatine stores decline. That means slower recovery, longer pauses between movements, and a creeping sense of fatigue that makes everything feel harder. Robert didn't understand that at first. He just knew he was tired after the grocery store, tired halfway through a walk. Tired before the day had even begun, until he read a study. Older adults who supplemented with creatine showed improved leg strength, improved walking speed, improved ability to rise from a chair without using their hands, and Robert thought, what if this isn't about lifting weights? What if this is about lifting myself? So he started. 1 teaspoon of creatine monohydrate, mixed into water every morning, simple, consistent, and within 2 weeks, he noticed something: not just strength, but responsiveness. His legs felt more ready, like the signal between brain and muscle was faster, clearer, and that clarity brought confidence. He didn't dread the stairs. He didn't plan his day around where he could sit. He moved with a quiet ease that had been missing for years, and it wasn't just him. His wife noticed. "You're walking different," she said, not faster, but firmer, like someone who trusts their body again. And here's the beauty of creatine: it's safe, it's well studied. And when paired with even light activity, it amplifies results. Robert didn't join a gym, he just did 5 bodyweight squats every morning, held onto the counter and lifted his heels, walked a few extra blocks around the neighborhood. Small efforts, big return, because creatine isn't about muscle size, it's about muscle function. It's about making energy available when you need it most, in those little moments that make up your independence. If you've ever dismissed creatine, maybe it's time to revisit, not as a bodybuilder's tool, but as a lifeline for movement. And Robert, he never skips a scoop, not because it's trendy, but because every step now feels like a quiet victory. And every victory begins with energy. Robert used to think his knees were just worn out. He blamed the weather, the years, the stairs. But the truth, it wasn't just age, it was cartilage. Thinning, softening, breaking down with every step, and unlike a scraped elbow, cartilage doesn't heal easily. It needs support. That's when he heard about glucosamine, not from a commercial but from an old friend who'd avoided knee surgery for years. A glucosamine isn't flashy. It doesn't promise instant relief. It works slowly, steadily. Because it's not just about numbing pain, it's about rebuilding from within. Robert learned that glucosamine is a building block, part of the very tissue that lines his joints, the slippery cushion that makes knees bend smoothly. And over time, with wear and tear, that cushion fades. Glucosamine helps restore it, not all at once, but like bricks slowly laid back into a wall. He started with 1,500 mg per day, split into 2 doses with meals, and waited. Weeks went by. At first, nothing. Then one morning, his knees didn't ache when he got out of bed. He stood from the couch without bracing his hand, and he realized something subtle had changed. His joints didn't feel so exposed. There was cushion again. There was glide. He still had stiffness sometimes, but it didn't last, and he wasn't afraid of movement. He welcomed it. Because glucosamine doesn't mask the problem, it addresses it, especially when taken early, before the damage goes too far. Robert also added chondroitin, a partner compound that works alongside glucosamine, and together, they helped him reclaim a part of his body he thought was lost. He even started gardening again. Crouching, lifting pots, watering from his knees. It wasn't dramatic, but it was real, and that made all the difference. So, if your joints crack, if your knees feel raw, sensitive, uncertain, maybe it's not just your age, maybe it's your cartilage crying out for support, and maybe glucosamine is the steady hand that answers. Have you ever felt a shift from something gentle but consistent? That quiet return of function? If so, tell me below. Your story might be the reason someone else keeps going. There was a stretch of weeks when Robert's feet burned at night, not from walking, but from something deeper, a throbbing heat, a tightness, like the tissue itself was irritated. And in the mornings, the soles of his feet felt tight, especially when he took his first steps. That sharp heel pain, like stepping on a stone inside his own body, plantar fasciitis. The doctor said common, hard to manage, and layered on top of his aching knees. It felt like too much. That's when he stumbled across something ancient: curcumin. The bright yellow compound in turmeric used for centuries in herbal medicine, but only recently understood by science, not just as a spice but as a powerful anti-inflammatory compound that quiets the body's internal fire by blocking key enzymes and calming the signals that keep pain lingering. Robert read about studies comparing curcumin to ibuprofen, with fewer side effects, and real results, so he tried it 500 mg of standardized curcumin extract with black pepper for absorption taken with food and, like most things. It didn't change overnight, but 2 weeks in his morning steps hurt less. The tightness began to fade. By week 5, he noticed something strange. He stopped thinking about his feet, they just worked, no burning at night, no grimace in the morning. And that absence was profound, because when pain goes quiet, the mind gets quiet too. Curcumin didn't just soothe his feet, it softened the way he moved through the day. It lightened the load. And perhaps more importantly, it protected what was still strong, because curcumin isn't just anti-inflammatory, it's antioxidant too, shielding muscles and nerves from the slow decay of time, the damage from stress, the little fires that burn silently inside aging bodies. Robert kept taking it daily as part of his morning ritual. Coffee, collagen, curcumin, and each day felt a little more balanced, not perfect, but peaceful. So if you've carried pain in your feet, in your knees, in your tendons or joints, or the spaces in between, know that relief doesn't always roar. Sometimes it simmers, and sometimes a little golden root can help you walk back into comfort. Robert was doing everything right, eating better, supplementing wisely, but he still wondered, was he doing it at the right time? Because with age, timing isn't just helpful, it's essential. That's when his doctor explained something simple but profound: your body absorbs and uses nutrients differently depending on when and how you take them. It's not just what you take, it's when, with what, and how often. Let's take protein. Robert used to eat most of his protein at dinner, but his body needed it spread across the day, so he started with 25 grams at breakfast, another 25 at lunch, and one more serving at dinner. That steady rhythm gave his muscles what they needed when they needed it. And for collagen, he learned it works best with vitamin C. Each morning, he paired his scoop of collagen with a glass of orange juice, or sometimes bell pepper slices on the side, not because it was trendy, but because it worked. Then there was creatine. He learned it didn't need a loading phase, just 3 to 5 grams daily, taken with food for better uptake. So he mixed it into his morning shake right alongside his protein, simple, consistent, absorbed, and omega-3. He took those with his most fatty meal of the day, usually lunch. That way, the fats could help carry the EPA and DHA where they were needed. And curcumin only, the enhanced forms, made sense. He chose a supplement paired with piperine, black pepper extract, because raw turmeric alone wouldn't cut it. It was the little adjustments that changed everything, not more pills, but smarter pairings, smarter timing. And Robert didn't stop there. He looked at his meals, started building plates with synergy in mind: greens rich in antioxidants, colorful veggies for inflammation, whole grains for energy, and hydration, water throughout the day, not just when thirsty, because joints, muscles, nerves, they all rely on hydration to function. He didn't go overboard, no strict diets, no rigid schedules, just awareness. And that awareness gave him power, because suddenly, he wasn't guessing anymore. He was supporting his body intentionally, and when the pieces work together, the results multiply: legs that move easier, days with more energy, nights with deeper rest. So, if you've been taking the right things, but wondering why it's not working, maybe the key isn't what, maybe it's when, and how, and with what, because your body is listening. And sometimes, it just needs the right whisper. It had been 8 weeks. Robert stood at the edge of the walking path near his home, the same path he used to walk every morning. But this time, something was different. He wasn't leaning on a cane, he wasn't checking his watch, calculating how far he could go. He was just ready. His legs felt grounded. Stable, not perfect, but steady. It all started with small changes: protein at breakfast, a scoop of collagen in his coffee, omega-3s with lunch, a creatine in his shake, curcumin with dinner. He didn't overhaul his life, he tuned it, like adjusting an old radio. Each click, each dial, brought the signal in clearer. He remembered week 2, feeling like nothing was changing, Then week 4, standing from a chair without thinking. Then week 6, climbing stairs without gripping the rail. And now, week 8, walking the full loop around the lake, a full mile, no stops, no fear, just breath, rhythm, motion. His neighbor waved from across the fence. You're back at it, huh? Robert smiled. Feels good to move again, he said. But it was more than movement, it was confidence, dignity, freedom. He wasn't afraid of his legs anymore, he trusted them. Because he had nourished them, rebuilt them, listened to them, and they responded not with fireworks, but with quiet strength. His wife noticed too. You seem lighter, she said, not in weight, but in spirit, because when your legs return, so does a part of you, the part that steps into the world, that chases the sunrise, that kneels beside a grandchild, that stands at the sink cooking breakfast, that walks, just because you can. So if you're in week 1, or if you haven't started yet, know this: every little change matters, every scoop, every step. Every quiet decision to care, because 8 weeks from now, you might look back and say what Robert did. I didn't know I could feel this way again. Strong legs aren't just about walking, they're about living. And now, after this journey, Robert knows that better than ever, it wasn't one thing that brought him back, it was the combination. Protein gave his muscles the fuel to rebuild, omega-3s calmed the inflammation. Collagen restored the joints that held him together, creatine powered his every movement. Glucosamine repaired the cushion beneath it all, and curcumin, it soothed the pain that lingered. Together, they worked not instantly, but gradually. And that's what healing often looks like: a slow return to what once felt simple, a steady reclaiming of steps once avoided, a quiet strength that rebuilds from within. Every nutrient, every choice, every day, they matter. Because the legs are not just limbs, they are your independence, your balance, your freedom to move through life. And if you've ever felt them slipping away, know this: you can nourish them, you can rebuild them, you can walk stronger again. Robert didn't chase perfection. He chased possibility, and what he found was a life less limited. So wherever you are in your journey, let this be your moment to listen, to act, to support the legs that have carried you this far, and to give them what they need to carry you further. If this story spoke to you, leave a comment below. Tell me where you are on your path, because your legs matter, and so does your voice. If you feel stronger, even just in spirit, tap the like button. It helps more than you know. And if you want to keep learning, keep growing, keep moving, subscribe and stay with us, because the journey isn't over, it's just beginning.